Welcome back to No Sticks, No Bricks. This week's video is going to have a more serious tone to it in light of recent events. My wife was attacked in this campground that we're at on Saturday. It happened right here behind me. I had to take her to the emergency room. It was a pretty bad situation. Here's her story.
So it was a Saturday and I was getting ready to go do my morning walk, and I decided to go across the highway and walk on the other side of the park, since the side of the park we were on was very crowded because of the weekend. So I was doing my walk. I noticed that there was a golf cart stopped, and then there was like an older couple, and then there was a German Shepherd that kept like running, and I saw a little girl and an old lady, and he kept like jumping up on this little girl. I just figured at first that they knew each other. Well, then I decided to stop, and I didn't want to go cut between them, and when I stopped to go turn around, I noticed the dog start charging me. So I kind of turned to the side, and it jumped on me at first, and so then I went to turn to walk away, and that's when the dog latched onto my arm, and I instantly felt a lot of pain and warmth, so I knew I was bleeding. And then he let go, and I covered my arm with my hand. A couple people that were standing around instantly came running towards me because I screamed that the dog had bit me and I was bleeding. And then the owner of the dog, the female owner of the dog, came over to me right away, but the dog was still kind of running around. And at that point, one of the other witnesses, they came up to me and they said that the dog was trying to attack the little girl. I guess when I came down, I was a bigger target, or an easier target, because she was kind of behind a tree and another lady, and he just turned on me. So once, I had my arm covered and I decided to see what happened. I wasn't sure if it was just puncture wounds or what. I knew I was bleeding, and I removed my hand and I looked down. Then that's when I saw the catastrophe, or whatever, the wound. And then I instantly felt sick to my stomach, and I guess I went pale because one of the people that were on a golf cart, he came running up to me, had his wife bring the golf cart up, had me sit down because he thought I was going to pass out. I was kind of shaking, in shock. Never been bit by a dog in my entire life, so it was very traumatic. Not pretty traumatic, it was pretty traumatic. But everybody around was great. Another lady knew somebody in the park that was a nurse, went and got her, they came up. She didn't really have a big enough gauze to cover the wound, but she just gave me a nice kitchen towel that was in water, and I put it on my wound. And so when I was sitting down on the golf cart, and all of a sudden in my mind, I was like, I need to call Jason, because there's no way I'm gonna walk the 15 minutes back to the RV bleeding, and I felt like crap, and I was crying. I was a hot mess. And so I handed the guy my phone, and he called Jason, who happened to be looping the awnings and was trying to answer it through his watch. And so he was pretty distraught. And so once he actually figured out what was going on and the guy told him where we were, he came over and he was very upset because I was hurt and he wasn't there. Someone contacted the park office, and the park office called 911. So the ambulance did show up, the sheriff showed up. He was talking to the owners of the dog, and then at that point I was sitting on the golf cart, and I noticed the cop actually was about to draw his gun on the dog because they could not get the dog under control. Now that dog was never on a leash that I saw, and witnesses says it was, and it had no collar on. The owners did say that it broke the collar and it broke off the leash. I didn't see all that, exactly what happened. I just know that the dog was not leashed and it was running freely for that girl and then after me. So as the sheriff was talking to the dog owners, the little girl, her family showed up because she was out walking. They showed up. She sat next to me, and then the EMTs quickly looked at her, but then, that family said that I needed attention, and I started to talk to the medics. So the little girl was okay. Luckily, when the dog went, she turned her back, so she did have some scratches, but no skin was broken, but she just had scratches on the back of her neck and down her back. Thank goodness, because she was probably maybe 8 years old, just a tiny little girl. And so as much as my dog bite sucked, I am grateful that the dog decided to bite me instead of her. The height that I got, I used it to protect my face and my neck, and that was probably as tall as she was, and he could have easily got her in the face and the neck and maybe have killed her. The German Shepherd was probably over 100 pounds easily. The owners couldn't control him. It was pretty scary. So the ambulance, of course, showed up. We did not call them, but the office did, so I obviously felt like I should stay to see them. They did look at it, took my blood pressure. My blood pressure was a little elevated, but I was obviously in some pain and a little bit of shock. I did refuse treatment. As many of you know, I was a medic and an EMT for 22 years. That was going to be a waste of resources for other people that needed it. Plus, I knew Jason could just drive me to the emergency room, so. After I got done with the ambulance, the sheriff did come over, asked me if I was being transported. I told him I didn't want to be transported by ambulance, I would drive myself, and then he took my statement, asked me questions like, was the dog on a leash? Did you ever see the dog on a leash? And I was like, absolutely not. Dog was not on a leash. I saw him jumping all over the girl. The owner's story and my story didn't match, but all the witnesses' story matched my story about the dog being not leashed or under owner's control. After that, he took my name and number. He said he was going to contact animal control, and then he released me to go to the emergency room because he didn't want me to stay there to continue on. He said if he needed any more information, he would call me. So now Jason obviously is there, and we're going to the emergency room up in Sturgis, Michigan, because it was the closest one. And they were great. I walked into registration. The lady was like, what are you here for? And I was like, it's a dog bite. And she looked at me, immediately called a nurse. Nurse brought me right back. They took my vitals. She immediately started cleaning it out. I noticed on my hand, because she wanted to wash my hand for me, I had blood and parts of my muscle tissue and skin all on my hand, because the dog obviously scratched or scraped with his teeth. Kind of hard to tell on the camera, but you could see all his other little teeth marks that didn't break the skin. So I got lucky that I'm not missing my arm. So after the nurse got done cleaning me up, the doctor came in, took a look at it, made sure that I didn't have any tendon or nerve damage, did some tests, and I was fine. And then he decided he was gonna sew me up. As much as I love to watch all that stuff on TV and other people have it happen, I hate watching it myself. I was a big baby. He numbed me up. I didn't watch. I know what they do. They put it right there in the wound. Jason watched. I was crying, curling my toes because it stung a little bit, but once that lidocaine started working, I was good to go. Got 13 stitches total. I think I got 8 here and 5 where the dog bit me underneath. I got a tetanus shot, obviously, because I couldn't remember when my last tetanus shot was. I will remember now, because this is one of those events that'll be like, oh, I had a dog bite. I remember exactly what year that was. So I was in and out of the ER in less than an hour, which if any medical people or anybody ever knows, that's pretty much unheard of, but very small ER, so they don't see a lot of trauma. So I was probably the most traumatic thing, hopefully, that they've seen all day. So when we came back to the RV park, of course we had to stop by the office because they, initially did show up on the scene. I forgot to mention that. And they took pictures as well as the sheriff's department for documentation and in case something crazy happens. And so we had to tell them that I got the 13 stitches and what happened, because they had to file a report with their corporate covering themselves. It wasn't the park's fault, and they were great, and they handled the situation best that they could. They were well aware. They kept asking me if I was okay, if I needed anything, and they were phenomenal. So after everything's done, I came back and I obviously had to rest because it kind of hit me. I got exhausted. I started to get a headache and feel like crap. And so I took a nap, and after I woke up from my nap, we were sitting outside and tons of people came by because everyone recognizes the Jeep. And then of course people in the RV park who knew that we were staying there. So we heard that animal control showed up to take ownership of the dog, and that the owner's grandson actually had to assist animal control because they could not handle the dog. That's how out of control the dog was, either being super aggressive or whatever happened. So animal control took it, and then last night we found out just from people here that the dog was euthanized. So currently I'm just waiting for animal control to contact me because the biggest thing is rabies. The owner swore up and down that the dog was up to date. I'm sure animal control is looking into it. They had to file a report here, and then in the hospital they had to do an animal bite control form, which gets sent over to animal control because the owners, we knew their name and number and where they were in the campground. So hopefully by tomorrow I'll know that, and hopefully I don't have to get any rabies vaccines because I heard they're very painful and it's a series. So now that this incident has happened to me, I'm gonna start carrying some pepper spray on me when I'm out walking and running. And if I ever see a dog off leash again, and if he starts coming towards me without the owner, it's gonna get sprayed because I'm not gonna go through this again. Because as you know, all RV parks and campgrounds, in most of all the rules, it says the dog needs to be leashed. Dog needs to be leashed. I don't care if you swear that dog has never bit anybody a day in their life. And that's what these people swore, that this was completely out of the dog's normal behavior. But again, it went after the girl and then me, and then who truly knows, the dog's behavior. They are wild creatures. Lastly, I want to say thank you to everybody that reached out to us, you know, friends, family, everyone on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everything. I mean, everybody was great. I appreciate all the thoughts and prayers and the advice on things to do if, you know, we decide to take some type of legal action. But we do appreciate all the advice. I appreciate all the love and support I got, and it made me feel very special. So now that it's been 24 hours, I can tell you I am very sore. I must have like had muscles tensed and all that because like my upper back hurts, my shoulder hurts. I don't really remember anything. Plus, just took a shower, and last night I noticed I actually have like scratches on my lower legs and kind of like in other parts of my body from when he jumped up on me. So didn't realize that at the time because my concern was more for the gash and the wound in my arm. But man, I am still pretty sore. Got some vitamin M. The military cure-all for pain is vitamin M, Motrin.
So we're about 4 days removed from the incident, and I just want to provide some updates. We finally talked to animal control, found out that the dog was not euthanized.
No, I was not euthanized, but he was up to date on his rabies.
We did get that. We got the rabies shots, and he was good there, but he's in a 10-day quarantine, and then he's going back to his owners. So hopefully they learned something from this. We did let the RV park know so they can take whatever action they take. They've got to run it all the way up through corporate. Who knows what's going to happen? We don't know if they're going to kick him out of the park, or maybe just the dog won't be allowed back in the park. We're not really sure. That'll be up to them. But how you feeling?
I'm fine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Feeling better now?
Yeah, really no more pain or anything. My bruises are healing. You know, the ones that we found after the fact. But
yeah.
Good way to get the stitches out.
Yeah. Well, you got another 3 or 4 days of stitches.
Saturday.
Luckily, our friends Brian and Tina from Jones and To Go are here right next to us, and she's a retired nurse, so she'll be able to take those stitches out pretty easily.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I could probably take them out myself.
Maybe I could take them out.
You could too, probably. It's pretty easy. I can walk you through it.
So the last thing we really want to say in this video is just make sure that your dogs are on a leash. We are dog lovers. We have 3 dogs.
Right.
If you're out and about, and especially in RV parks where there's little kids and stuff, and you see somebody that doesn't have their dog on a leash, tell them. Let them know. It would have been absolutely tragic if that dog would have seriously hurt or killed that little girl.
No doubt.
All because the owners just couldn't keep it under control.
Yeah, that's frustrating. I mean, hopefully the dog, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the laws are here in Indiana. I don't particularly care, but I haven't gone to that other side of the park because that's where they're at. So I just don't go over there now. Well, I haven't ran anyway because...
Yeah.
I
gotta heal up.
I gotta heal because I already busted 1 stitch because I was doing too much movement with my arm, so.
You gotta be a good patient.
Yeah, Jason has me on lockdown.
Medical personnel make the worst patients.
Yeah, we do.
Alright guys, well that concludes this week's video. We'll get back to our normal schedule next week. Hopefully no more incidents, and until next week guys, safe travels.